takes more than being online to be a great online university. It takes time and experience. University of New England pioneered distance education in the 1950s and has been perfecting it ever since. With features like 24/7 tutor access, we're now rated #1 for teaching quality and support, and the only public university in Australia to receive a 5-star rating 14 years running. So, for an expert online education, choose UNE.
Today I want to briefly discuss what I call the great COVID-19 disruption. Before I do, I want to put the world of international business in some historical and economic context. The Thatcher-Reagan revolution of the early 1980s drove the globalisation project. Now, I define globalisation as a process of increased economic, cultural, political and technological interdependence across national economies. Some of the key drivers of globalisation that affect international business are the free flow of goods and services across national boundaries, reduction of obstacles to the free movement of capital and finance, an overall reduction of tariffs and non-tariff barriers, an embracement of foreign direct investment that allows companies to internationalise their operations by setting up their businesses abroad. Just-in-time supply chains that allows companies to keep stock holding to a bare minimum, which leads to lower inventory costs, lower storage costs, and lower warehouse costs. Now, putting aside issues associated with the current US administration, their view on tariffs and free trade, in conjunction with the issue of Brexit, over the last 4 decades, the overarching political economy can be broadly classified as global integration with reduced importance on national boundaries and local economies. But we've come to learn that COVID-19 and globalisation has left countries and businesses vulnerable to global supply chains, as evidenced by many countries not having sufficient supplies of PPEs or personal protective equipment, like masks and medical gowns, for example. And as a number of economists are now arguing, while just-in-time was the theme that guided globalisation, production and inventory strategies over the last 3 to 4 decades, governments are more likely to adopt what we call just-in-case strategy, as the risk of being caught short of supplies or of excessive dependence on sole supplies is now too high. But I don't think that the issue is limited to PPPs and post-COVID-19, as I think that countries and companies are going to evaluate other areas of their operations that has been effectively internationalised and exposed to the globalised and potentially disruptive supply chains. These important areas of the economy come under the heading of security and include telecommunications, food, energy, pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, petroleum, etc. So in my mind, this will exacerbate an already large decline in foreign direct investment flows that we have seen over the last 2 to 3 years. International businesses thus could become less internationalised and more domestic in their activities. Moreover, we are likely to see a ramping up of government incentives to bring companies home post-COVID-19, as already is happening around the world today. This is likely to revitalise domestic economies via high-tech manufacturing and domestic infrastructure projects. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, though post-virus we are going to see the advancement of new growth areas that are already in their infancy. For example, we could see, in an international business context, increased international collaboration on research and development between countries and companies, especially in relation to health and medicine. We could see, in an international business context, an increase in collaboration between former competitors to strengthen production and supply chains. We could see, in an international business context, the rise of education, sports and the wellbeing sector via increased virtual classrooms and online fitness classes. Likewise, we should expect to see the rise of telemedicine and online consultations to advance wellbeing. And finally, we will probably see ongoing workplace flexibility regarding work from home strategies. For example, a number of studies show that working from home 1 day a week increases overall productivity, reduces congestions on roads and public transport, reduces pollution stemming from carbon dioxide, and saves individual money that can be spent on the local environment. So my take-home message is that every monumental crisis provides opportunities to recalibrate both the world and the domestic economies. My view is that international business environment will by necessity have to change to a new normal post-COVID. While it does not spell the end to global economic integration per se, nor should it, as we know that economic autarky or isolation is not prosperity enhancing. It does, however, potentially reactivate the nation state from its relatively passive state over the last 3 to 4 decades. How governments, international businesses, and keystone regulatory authorities rise to these new challenges, only time will tell. Thanks for listening.